She's completely flirtatious with him.
Blake Lively completely exposes herself.
She seems like a bully. She was such a high-maintenance diva bully brat.
Reynolds was overwhelmed with sorrow after feeling betrayed by his wife. Interestingly, Blake shared a similar sentiment, as she had spent 15 years of their marriage managing his constant close friendships.
Kind of making a lot of gay jokes and like trying to normalize all of these gay jokes. But Hugh Jackman has been plagued with rumors of homosexuality throughout his entire career.
They were equally matched in many ways, but now it's their children who are left dealing with the consequences of the situation.
He's one of those guys, so they are absolute bullies.
Ryan Reynolds, once celebrated by Hollywood as the ideal husband and devoted family man, someone viewed as nearly flawless, has seen his carefully crafted image unravel. The same man who confidently smiled on every red carpet, appearing to have everything under control, now finds himself facing the aftermath of his personal setbacks.
Ryan Reynolds, by all accounts, seems like a great guy. He is acting. By all accounts, he is a total pain in the ass.
And why did this happen? Because Blake Lively, the same person widely seen as refined and composed, chose to betray him in a way that many viewed as both disappointing and humiliating. What's more, she didn't just step out of the marriage. She attempted to replace him with Justin Baldoni, a well-known figure, though not quite at the level of Ryan Reynolds in terms of fame.
And being fully castrated by a woman who is using toxic feminism to get what she wants, right?
Let's take a quick step back. It's December 2024, and Blake's ideal world begins to unravel. Suddenly, legal actions start surfacing from all sides. Blake alleges harassment, Baldoni files a countersuit, and caught in the middle of the chaos,
She wants us to believe this is actionable harassment, what we just witnessed there. You tell me whether that's what that looks like to you.
Right when the world thought they'd be the next Hollywood royalty,
just as the public started viewing them as Hollywood's next power couple, Candace Owens stepped in, revealing a very different side of Ryan's life. She wasn't holding back, claiming that Ryan wasn't only covering for Blake, but also concealing deeper personal issues, curated images, hidden insecurities, and more. One moment, he's promoting Mint Mobile with his usual charm, and the next, he's left trying to understand how everything fell apart so quickly and so visibly.
She, time and time again, she accuses him of doing something, which then when you hear the full context, is an absolute nothing burger.
Let's take a moment to focus on Blake. During the 2023 filming of It Ends With Us, she seemed to believe she was living out a romantic comedy of her own. But instead of keeping things professional, she appeared unusually focused on Justin Baldoni, more like an overly eager admirer than a co-star, and not in a playful or charming sense.
She's completely flirtatious with him.
It was a full-on effort. Blake was reportedly modifying intimate scenes just to spend more time near him. And the most surprising part? Her playful comment on Baldoni's workout video, where she wrote, "Amazing, now try it pregnant." It raised eyebrows? Who openly says that to a married man, especially in public, and considers it?
When Ms. Lively later objected to this behavior, Mr. Baldoni's response was, "I'm not even attracted to you."
But here's what stood out. Baldoni didn't respond the way she might have expected. He turned her down firmly and without creating a scene, reportedly saying, "I'm not even attracted to you." That's when things took a turn. It appeared that Blake didn't take the rejection well. In her world, being turned down wasn't part of the script. So, what followed? A move straight from the typical Hollywood playbook. She filed harassment claims. Because in that industry, when things don't go your way, taking...
That's another allegation, Holmes, is that she started to rewrite scenes that nobody had asked her to rewrite.
Leaked information from behind the scenes quickly clarified who was really driving the situation. It turned out that Blake had been initiating everything from the start, not Baldoni. Every suggestive scene was reportedly her idea. Every uncomfortable moment traced back to her. The efforts to stay in the spotlight? All Blake. Meanwhile, Baldoni appeared to be simply trying to navigate the chaos without facing complete public backlash.
Wasn't in the best place. I told them that I was exhausted, that I haven't given myself time to recover or time to heal.
Meanwhile, back at the scene, Ryan Reynolds remained loyal to Blake, much like a devoted companion. Unfortunately, he appeared to have believed everything she told him.
I'm just shocked at how many lies were told, okay?
He didn't just take her word for it. He went all out to damage Baldoni's career without verifying the facts. His agency WME dropped Baldoni quickly, all because Ryan was determined to maintain his perfect family image. And that's where things take an even more misguided turn.
And here is part of that leaked audio as of yesterday. Take a listen to Justin Baldoni groveling, is the only way to describe it, to Blake Lively.
I want to start with an apology. Man, reading the second part of your message, my heart sank.
By summer 2024, a supposed voicemail surfaces, with Baldoni allegedly apologizing to Blake. Quite convenient, right? But tech experts quickly dismantled it, revealing it was edited, fabricated, and entirely fake. A metadata analysis showed the voicemail was just as artificial as Ryan's carefully crafted wholesome dad persona.
No amount of I'm sorry's will ever undo it. Hurt people hurt people.
Now Ryan finds himself in a tough spot. He discovers that not only had Blake lied, but she also staged a fake scandal to mask her own embarrassing rejection. Things only get worse from there. Leaks emerge, revealing that Blake had been secretly working behind Ryan's back during filming, changing scenes to spend more time with Baldoni. Imagine thinking your wife is deeply committed to her work, only to find out she's maneuvering her way into another man's trailer. It's a harsh reality.
Where Blake Lively completely exposes herself and just says it out loud with no qualms. This is what I do. The whole thing Justin's put out in his documents, she just admitted.
By late 2024, sponsors began distancing themselves, and for good reason. No brand wants to associate with a sinking reputation. The perfect couple image that had generated millions was now gone. Ryan's carefully crafted family persona was as phony as Blake's emotional displays on set. The public wasn't buying the story anymore.
This person is not an honest broker. I believe her less than ever. I actually disbelieve her fully now.
Ryan didn't just suffer a blow to his reputation. He lost everything he had built by defending a woman who, while married, was acting like she was on Hollywood Tinder. The same woman who used the Me Too movement as a means of personal retaliation when a married man rejected her. If humiliation were an Olympic event, Ryan and Blake would surely claim the gold.
And like I told you, that accusation, it can be real. In a lot of circumstances, it goes on a lot in Hollywood.
In a way, it's almost darkly ironic. Here's a man who spent his career crafting a goofy, charming, relatable dad image, only for the public to discover he was deceived by a woman who believed she was too attractive to be rejected. When someone finally said no, she destroyed everything and tried to blame others. Now Ryan knows what it feels like to become just another Hollywood joke. Congrats, Ryan. You've had your reality check. Too bad it arrived with lawsuits, fake voicemails, career damage, and a wife who couldn't even manage to cheat without a disaster.
I'm really sorry. I f***ed up. That is a fail on my part. One thing you should know about me is I will admit and apologize when I fail. I am far from perfect.
Blake Lively didn't just ruin your life. She revealed you both for what you really are. Two frauds who believed they could deceive everyone indefinitely without ever facing the consequences. After Blake's fallout with Baldwin and Ryan's public disgrace, one might expect them to step back from further embarrassment. But no, of course not. Just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, another bombshell dropped, completely destroying whatever dignity Ryan Reynolds had left.
Guys can hang out with one another, but he feels like he has to make that effort. So he's like, nothing's weird here, nothing's weird. Bromances are so normal. I mean, notoriously, that's the reason why he flew out Liz playing.
An old interview of Blake resurfaced, where she subtly suggested that her marriage was more of a business arrangement. She essentially let the cat out of the bag. It turns out that the so-called perfect Reynolds-Lively love story wasn't about love at all. It was a business deal, a brand partnership, a fabricated fairy tale designed to make people like us buy more tickets, more gin, more phone plans, and believe more.
They weren't the first to do this. It was Blake Lively, it was Ryan Reynolds, this was their strategy, and now they kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle. But guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle.
And it takes an even darker turn. Candace Owens openly revealed the beard marriage theory, stating what many had been quietly speculating. Blake married Ryan to hide his true interests, and it turns out he wasn't just after acting roles. No, his focus was on bromances. Yes, the so-called bromances, but not in a playful, let's throw a football kind of way. Rather, in a way that makes you wonder why a grown man with 4 children seems to be living as though he's...
I have a lot of questions about Ryan Reynolds' bromances, his various bromances over the years. We've talked about him and Jake Gyllenhaal, and obviously this has been a bromance that has been very much thrown in the public's face.
This didn't come out of nowhere either. In a 2025 interview with Men's Journal, Ryan Reynolds openly compared his friendship with Hugh Jackman to a marriage. A marriage. You're telling me that a man who's supposedly deeply in love with Blake, Lively is out there telling everyone that Hugh Jackman is essentially his husband? It doesn't add up. Candace Owens didn't even have to search hard for this. Ryan practically handed her the tools and dug the hole for himself.
He's kind of making a lot of gay jokes and like trying to normalize all of these gay jokes. But Hugh Jackman has been plagued with rumors of homosexuality throughout his entire career.
This wasn't just a one-time joke either. Owens highlighted Ryan's odd fixation on bromances. First, it was Jake Gyllenhaal, then Hugh Jackman, always making sure the public knows how strong those friendships are, constantly putting them on display, and going to great lengths to convince everyone that it's all perfectly normal and casual, just 2 guys being guys. Yeah, sure.
Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Hefner have a relationship or something.
That wholesome dad of the year image Ryan has, it's headed straight for the dumpster. But wait, the Hugh Jackman story gets even more interesting. In September 2023, Hugh Jackman, the iconic Wolverine, suddenly announces he's divorcing his wife of 27 years. No prior warning, no signs. It's just over. A lot of red flags here.
That happened to Justin Baldoni, whether or not he wants to admit that or sees that.
Right after his divorce is finalized, Hugh unexpectedly shows up on the set of It Ends With Us, a movie he has no role in. He's not acting, directing, or even helping with the production. But there he is, making it Hollywood's least kept secret. And it doesn't stop there. Ryan, in his infinite wisdom, decides to direct an awkward promotional skit for the film.
The guy trying to replace Ryan as a husband and me as his best mate. Holy what the hell are you doing messing with my best buddy's wife?
And guess who takes the spotlight? Hugh Jackman. Not supporting the movie or honoring the storyline, but outright mocking Justin Baldoni. Very classy, right? There's nothing that says we're innocent like publicly embarrassing the person you're secretly trying to undermine. Candace Owens wasn't about to let that go unnoticed. She once again dropped the bombshell, revealing that Jackman is now
We are learning that Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, will be deposed. And I suspect that might be making Ryan Reynolds extremely nervous, and I'll tell you why.
Apparently, when you spend your free time on questionable sets and taking part in bizarre mockeries of people facing lawsuits, you can no longer claim to be an innocent bystander. Public doubt is at an all-time high. Jackman wasn't merely tagging along. He was a full participant in this chaotic situation, riding shotgun with Ryan all...
Hugh Jackman was also in the now infamously cringe It Ends With Us promotional skit that had nothing to do with promoting the movie, which was about domestic violence, where Ryan directed it and he brought in his mom and Blake was in the background. We learned that.
Just when you think things can't get any worse, here comes Taylor Swift, stepping into the scandal with her typical facade of innocence. It turns out that Miss I'm Staying Out of Drama was deeply involved the entire time. Taylor wasn't just there to enjoy coffee and write emotional songs. She played a key role in It Ends With Us. She helped cast Isabella Ferrer to portray the younger version of Blake's character and added her song My Tears Ricochet to the soundtrack. This wasn't a brief show of support. Taylor was actively shaping the entire project.
That's so gross and weird and manipulative, even if it's true. It's so just, this movie somehow was a magnet for awful people.
Now that everything's spiraling out of control, guess who's suddenly too busy to speak? That's right. Taylor Swift has apparently been keeping a low profile since December 2024. It seems she's worried about being dragged into court to explain her involvement. I wonder why she's so concerned. Could it be those text messages between Taylor, Blake, and Ryan that the court wants to examine? You know, the ones Blake's team is desperately trying to protect with a lawyer's eyes only order? Because heaven forbid the public
Blake Lively, her brand, Ryan Reynolds' brand, have totally been tarnished by this because the world now sees them for who they are. They cannot act their way out of this.
This is the outcome when your entire image is based on deception. Blake acting like Hollywood's sweetheart, Ryan posing as the ideal husband, Taylor maintaining an image of being untouched by controversy, and Jackman pretending to be just a friendly face who happened to be on set. What started as a rom-com has turned into a full-fledged horror story, and they're the ones lurking in the shadows.
So he was one of the unnamed dragons, if you will, in all of this. And it looks like for that, he is being awarded for his contributions with a deposition.
Blake Lively's carefully crafted victim persona has finally been exposed. And frankly, it was long overdue.
After years of
portraying herself as Hollywood's graceful darling, the truth has now come crashing down around her.
She alleges that she's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd.
Blake didn't just manipulate the Me Too movement. She distorted it and attempted to use it as a personal weapon against Justin Baldoni after her ego couldn't handle rejection. She took one of the most significant social movements and turned it into a petty spectacle, unable to accept defeat in a mature way.
I let go of so much, and I gave it to him.
Let's not pretend this was some brilliant scheme. Behind-the-scenes footage clearly exposed who the true offender was. Everything Blake accused Baldoni of was actually her doing. She was the one pushing for more intimate scenes, demanding extra takes, and acting flirtatious on set. Meanwhile, Baldoni appeared to be simply trying to get through the day without being dragged into a lawsuit by the woman in designer heels.
She laughs and says, oh, did you get beard on me? She doesn't say, oh my God, you nuzzled me and said that I smell good. This is what she's done throughout.
Blake Lively attempted to take down Baldoni with questionable allegations, but the truth quickly caught up with her. Reports suggest she may have interfered with evidence, and now she's facing potential fraud charges that could seriously impact her reputation in Hollywood. Meanwhile, as Blake was causing damage on one front, Ryan Reynolds wasn't exactly helping matters. His actions resembled those of someone completely unaware of the consequences, especially as he navigated this controversy. Rather than conducting a proper review, Ryan's agency, WME, immediately cut ties with Baldoni, raising serious concerns. Legal analysts are now openly questioning whether Ryan may have influenced that decision. Given how determined he was to protect his carefully crafted family image, it's not surprising that he might have let others take the fall to keep that narrative intact.
No one knew who he was beforehand. Everyone knows who he is now. If he is a smart sociopath, he'll work that to his advantage.
But here's the reality, Ryan. When you support someone in creating a false narrative, you become part of that narrative. Now, Ryan Reynolds finds himself directly involved in a growing controversy. Legal analysts are cautioning that he could face significant legal consequences for allegedly helping conceal evidence. Supporting your spouse's questionable campaign of retaliation doesn't exactly reflect well, especially when your reputation is tied to being a clean-cut figure that sponsors depend on.
She really wanted her vision to be included in this.
Speaking of sponsors, they began distancing themselves as early as the first quarter of 2025. Major brands that once eagerly invested in Ryan's carefully crafted image were suddenly no longer interested. And honestly, can you fault them? Why risk millions supporting someone who increasingly appears to be an insecure figure, leaning on public friendships and endorsement deals to maintain a carefully polished persona?
Ryan's kind of perpetually highly publicizing his bromances is something that I find to be quite strange, right? Mostly because he's a 48-year-old man, Ryan Reynolds. He has 4 kids, and he seems to dedicate a lot of time and resources, like financial resources.
The public wasn't convinced by the act anymore. Ryan Reynolds' carefully maintained image of being the charming, relatable star fell apart quickly. Audiences began to recognize a different side, someone who appeared more focused on controlling the narrative and using his celebrity status to suppress uncomfortable truths.
I did a film with an absolute idiot of a co-star. And this human being was being so insecure and angry because this person couldn't get the scenes out. And I think I was so vulnerable and comfortable.
And what about their once secure place in Hollywood's inner circle? That disappeared too. The same studios and industry insiders who once praised them began to distance themselves quickly. Opportunities faded, contracts were dropped, and support vanished. No one wants to be associated with controversy, and that's exactly.
I was so vulnerable and comfortable that I got screamed at. But because this person was number one on a call sheet, there was no safety net for me. So no one had my back.
Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, the man they attempted to discredit, is actually doing better than ever. Hollywood saw the evidence and responded by giving him the recognition he deserves. Producers, directors, and industry executives are now eager to work with him. When you stand firm against two of Hollywood's most carefully crafted public figures and come out unscathed, people take notice. Baldoni didn't just weather the controversy, he advanced his career. And as for Ryan Reynolds, losing Blake Lively might be the least of his concerns. He lost the entire image he had spent years carefully constructing. The carefully curated marriage, the polished public persona, the flawless branding, it all collapsed. And the most significant part? He has no one to blame but him.
The next day I walked on and I said, "You get off my set." It's the first time I've ever spoken. I remember being so scared. And I looked at this person and I said, "You can F off. I'm going to work towards a tennis ball. I never want to see you again."
When you choose to build your life on deception, it's no surprise when the truth comes crashing down. Blake Lively believed she could manipulate movements, fabricate evidence, ruin reputations, and walk away unscathed. Ryan Reynolds thought he could rely on a phony marriage and a picture-perfect image forever. Both of them assumed they were beyond reproach.
The truth should be out there. What does she have to fear if she's telling the truth?
Now, they stand as nothing more than a cautionary example, a warning to every other Hollywood figure who believes they're too attractive, influential, or wealthy to face the consequences. The truth doesn't care about your PR team, your staged friendships, or your fabricated stories.